I am delighted to be here today with Elisabeth, who I'm super honored is a regular, consistent listener of the Courage of a Leader podcast that absolutely delights me. So I think of Elizabeth as number one listener. And Elizabeth, you know that's something I've admired about you for a long time. I think it's super inspiring and an amazing life skill is that you are able to tune into yourself to see what you need and tune out to the world and find the resources that will best support you, help you get where you're going, support you in a moment.
Let's just dive right in and get started on the top tens and how I came to these.
Okay, okay.
So I was prepping for the podcast, and I had this idea and this vision of what I wanted to talk about. And I'm finalizing things yesterday, and I think I've got a great handle on it. And I have my aha moment of like, yoga is such a big part of this. Let's take that first practice of the yamas and niyamas of yoga. And I know that sounds kind of woo-woo. People think of yoga as being like, oh, I'm going to yoga class. I'm doing the physical poses and the asana practice. And that's one part of 8 other parts of yoga. So the yamas and the niyamas are like the foundation of the actual practice of yoga. So the first 5 things are the yamas, and they are kind of like our social norms, like our outer world behaviors that we practice. And we're going to kind of walk through those, and I'll tell you how they relate to creating that space. And
Beautiful.
then the second 5 are the niyamas, or something that you and I are very familiar with as those inner world personal practices.
Okay.
So I just thought this was a beautiful way to incorporate my yoga journey with your podcast listeners and your leaders who may take a little something from my guest appearance.
I'm curious. I'm ready.
Okay, so number 1 we call ahimsa.
Okay.
That's non-violence. So that's why a lot of yogis are vegan, vegetarian.
Okay.
But it also, as you and I have done our work together, I like to call it utilizing balance to allow ourselves and others grace as we maneuver the ebbs and flows of life. So like you always had, don't do the double whammy where you feel bad about feeling bad. This is that practice of like being nice to yourself, being nice to the gentlemen that are taking up the track, being nice to your kindergarten teacher who pointed out your efficiency.
It's not the assignment, Amy. Yes, okay, I love that. And it's the nonviolence, it's the compassion out to others and
Mm-hmm.
to ourselves.
Yes, because compassion is not complete if it does not include yourself.
Well said.
The second one we call satya, or truthfulness.
Okay.
This one for me is like what really resonates with you in your podcast is that authenticity. You know that that's huge for me. And so that's what I kind of put for the truthfulness is like, when you're in the flow, your physical body, your mental capacities, those are all connected with you living as your like highest self. I know when I go to the grocery store that if I buy Pop-Tarts, that's definitely not serving my highest self. And I'm going to practice some compassion that I don't eat them all the time.
This is a treat. Yep.
Yes. So that's the authentic part. Like knowing that, yeah, like carrots are going to be healthier than eating this candy corn, but you're just going to kind of accept it and move along. Or, when you feel bad, like I had a very uncomfortable work situation, as you know, a while ago, and in 2 different work scenarios. And it was hard and it was uncomfortable, but there wasn't a different way for me to go about it because of how I needed to be in that situation. So like, it's the kind of like, you can rest your head on the pillow, you can look yourself in the mirror and know that you did what you needed to do, that authenticity of that behavior. So.
Yeah, okay. Truthfulness, I'm also hearing like true to your own values as what's important to you. Okay, great.
because I always tell people I lost a job, and I would rather lose a job and be true to myself
Mm.
than have stayed at a place that was an authentic feeling.
Yeah, that's misalignment.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Moving along, our third yama is asteya, or non-stealing. So I like to, Ram Dass says, be here now. That presence, that practice of presence. You don't want to, be talking to Jake about being great at not sucking his thumb, thinking about balancing your checkbook, or your client meeting that you had earlier, so just that practicing presence. And that's, again, what helps create that space that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that, and that's, we call it practice. It's not yoga perfect, it's yoga practice. All of
Yeah.
these things are something we practice.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love yoga and the practice of yoga, is because I'm going to learn it until the day I die. And I will never even have covered just the smallest piece of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4,
Yeah.
brahmacharya. So yeah, it's mostly non-excess. So like not eating the whole box of Pop-Tarts.
Ah,
A lot of times in yoga, this is, it coincides with celibacy. So not being excessive in certain aspects of your life. I like to just call it, though, again, that practicing balance in all areas of your life.
yeah.
So like, you tend to go in seasons of your life, like, or training seasons, and we have different, like you and I are in midlife, I'm going to say, and that's a busy time for people, and
Yeah.
that's okay. So like, if you feel like you're busy, it's, because you're bringing up your children, but you're also taking care of your elderly parents, and it's just naturally a busy time because your career is at its highest and you're at your prime, and it's just, busy, and that's okay. Like, when we're younger, we have less things to worry about because that's our growing time. That's a more laid back time. And then when we're older, again, it gets a little slower, and that's okay too. So just
Yeah.
honoring the different seasons of your life and different balancing practices of working on your ultra marathon running versus, now I want to incorporate my family more into that plan, and and
Yeah.
and balancing. It's that balancing act.
Oh, beautiful, Elizabeth. This has me thinking about how it serves us to look at balance in a bigger picture. Like sometimes a day, an hour, a week even might not feel balanced in the different areas of our lives and the different roles that we choose to play. But how does that look over a larger period of time? And or how are you intentionally choosing? I think I've said this to you before when my dad was in the midst of pretty significant health issues. I know I had a week where I decided I'm going to be an amazing daughter this week. Mom, wife, not so much, right? But I've got a great partner, so I know my husband will handle the our home front, but my parents need me this week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the balance is shifting there, and it's intentional. And when we allow that to be a choice, I'm not going to say I didn't have any guilt that week, right? Or weeks that looked like that for a period of time. I knew it was a choice, right? And it created some space for it to be what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Lovely.
Yes. I've been apologizing to some of my friends because I prioritize spending time with dad. And
Yeah.
I don't really feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the choice
Mm-hmm.
for this period
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy to the non-excess and the creating balance.
Yeah.
Again, that big picture thought of, it's
Yeah.
just, everything's temporary.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed.
uh,
Okay.
the
Number five.
the fifth yama, the outer world behavior, is aparigraha, or non-possessiveness, non-greed, which is really hard in our capitalist society, where we're inundated with images of everything, and I'm like, just advertisement. And so it's the other thing I like to say is like, it's the it's really easy to, when you're in yoga class, especially, to like look around and be like, oh, like they're so much more flexible here. Oh, they're not really doing that pose correctly. And it's where I really thrive. I did yoga with my friend when I was visiting her, and we used the Peloton app. And I was like, I love doing yoga at home because I'm not distracted by all these people and other things. Like, it's nice to just be in my home and not go anywhere and have that outer world distraction. I can just focus on me and what I need. So Baron Baptiste, one of my favorite yogis, has this phrase called try easy. And so I like to associate it with this non-greed, non-possessive, like try easy. Like, yes, right? Doesn't it feel nice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Use that on your next long run. Try easy.
Try easy. Well, and I think that's what I chose in that moment. Like I chose ease. I chose
Pick your battles.
yeah. Okay, so Elisabeth, I had planned to ask you like how do you do this? Like right, like how do you do a good job of intentionally creating space and creating what you want in your life? How do you tune in and tune out to what's available? And I think you're answering this with your top 10 list.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna have the yogi words
Oh,
right,
you're fine.
but I'm gonna review now the yamas and invite all of the listeners in this moment to look to like what are the distinctions, what are the ways of thinking about what's going on in our lives in the moment that will help you tune into what is going to serve you. So number one was the nonviolence, that using balance, that using compassion with others and with ourselves. Number two was the truthfulness, the authenticity, right? What brings your highest self? When and how are you in the flow? You're being
Yep.
true to your own values. Three was the be here now, practicing presence. I love that rather than be present. Practice presence. Keep bringing your mind back, right? That allows us to listen to ourselves and to others. Number four was the non-excess, having
Yep.
balance in all areas, having balance in the bigger picture, choosing what that balance looks like in a moment. And five was non-possessiveness, right? Try easy, try not comparing, right? It's just so easy. Like, oh, they have that. I need that. We need this gadget. All the kids need Spotify.
Yeah.
Everybody else has it. But yet intentional choosing, not getting caught up in, I don't know, the avalanche was the
Yeah.
image that just came into my mind because it's going on around us.
Yes.
We raised kids, Elisabeth, and I'm not saying that they did not have screen time and technology time, but we never had an iPad in our house. We never had like that portable iPad. It's possible. It's possible. Now and some families might not choose that.
Right.
Right? But yeah, finding our way to navigate. Okay, so there's 6 through 10.
Yes, so this is more of those. So that's kind of like how we maneuver the outer world. And now we're going to come to ourselves.
Great.
And how do we practice this ourselves? So the first niyama is saucha, or purity. So this is coming to the highest self philosophy. In Ayurveda, which is yoga's sister science, we call it like right intention followed by right action, or using your inner wisdom.
Like it. Nice.
And you can see how it kind of relates to a lot of those that we talked about with the yamas.
And these are niyamas.
Yes.
Niyamas. Got it.
Number 7 is santosha. This is probably my favorite one. It means contentment.
Okay.
And again, Baron Baptiste comes to mind with he has a little phrase like, relax with what is.
I mean, am I hearing some acceptance there?
Yes.
To like just accepting what's so.
Well, if you think about what contentment means, the definition of being content, just accepting that situation and kind of doing, I'm, think of Martin Luther King as well. Like, so what if you're a janitor? Be the best janitor you can be. And that's kind of my evolution, is like, I stepped down from leadership roles, originally not by choice, but then I was like, I like this support role. This is where I fit. This is where I belong. Like, I really accepted it, and I became extremely content. And I tell people that the job I have now is the hardest job I've ever had. And it took me, I've been there 9 years. It took me at least 6, maybe 7, to feel content with it. So it's definitely a practice.
Yeah, another practice, right? I feel like this one is making me think about the pandemic and how the pandemic shifted all of our worlds, and for many of us it was like, oh, like accepting like what's happening, what environment looks like, and then being able to get to choice. I know I went through that journey.
Yeah, that was a journey.
Yes. Yeah.
That
we're still on.
Yeah.
We're still all of
Yes,
the
yes. Evolving, ever
effects
evolving.
of stupid COVID.
Number 8 is tapas, which is probably my second favorite. It's self-discipline, or training your senses.
Ooh.
So this is where
I feel like I need that. Okay.
This is where you put down your phone and you cut out your distractions. And so, like, I think as we were working together, I still keep my paper planner, and I had my like list of things I wanted to do every day. Like, and I think I wrote meditation in my planner every day for like 5 years before I actually did it every day. And I have that Insight Timer app on my phone, and I know you use is it Calm?
Okay.
So, finding what works for you to cut out the distraction. And my last yoga training I went to, the instructor, God bless her, she was so wonderful, but she was like, meditation is not listening to someone else in a guided meditation. Meditation is not distracting yourself with calming music. And she's like, meditation is sitting still. And I was like, okay. So then I became using, like, then it just was like, I'm using the timer on Insight Timer. I'm not doing a guided meditation. I'm not listening to music. I am just sitting. And I was like, oh, but I had been practicing it long enough that it didn't feel abnormal for me to do that. And so it's not like, that's the journey. That's the balance, right? Like, start small, start by paying attention when you brush your teeth.
Yes.
Or paying attention when you make your coffee, or paying attention during your run. Like, use what you have, but write it down, plan it out, because like, you're not going to feel like doing some of this stuff. But if you write it down, to cross it off, to make it part of your day,
have a commitment with yourself.
Yes.
To do it. Yes. Lovely.
And some of us, like, I feel like you and I are naturally disciplined people. I know that a lot of people, like my partner, is not naturally disciplined. Okay. So it's that, it's just like leadership, like you naturally a leader, or you work really hard at being a leader.
It's like, what's the game that you want to play?
Yes.
Right. And play and play that game. There are some outreaches that I want to do that I've been meaning to do for a couple of weeks now for my work. So I told my accountability partner on Monday, like, I'm sending out one a day. And will you support me in that? Like, you'll be looking for a text from me saying that it went out. Right. So there was the commitment, like the discipline. I'm getting out one a day this week. The game that we choose to play. Yeah. And I think it's probably important to say it's a practice too.
Yes.
Right. Because you said you had meditation on your planner every day for 5 years before it was happening every day without fail.
And now, I could have gotten really down on myself.
Right.
But it's that choice. Like, I wasn't beating myself up to the point where I thought I was like paddling upstream. I knew I needed it. I knew I wanted it. I just needed a little more accountability. And it's like with me in leadership, I was like paddling upstream, and it was just like a fight. I didn't want to play the game anymore.
Yeah.
So I stepped back,
Yeah.
lead
It's the
where I'm at.
commitment to ourselves, right? Because you knew it served you,
Hmm.
right? So I am gonna, yeah,
It's
I'm
like
gonna work
intentionally
towards this
making
every day.
it. It could be as easy as like I make sweet potatoes because I know they're better for me, but I'd rather eat a regular potato. And so I just alternate. Like, I don't love sweet potatoes, but they're good for me.
Oh, so now you're alternating, which makes me feel like that's going back to the other side, like balance or
Yes. Hmm.
compassion or right,
Yep.
like non-excess.
Yep. It's all connected.
Yeah.
And number 9 is svadhyaya. It's a very fun word, but it means
It is.
self-study, inner exploration. So that I love this. And my mom was so good at this.
Mm.
Um, we call it beginner's mind,
Yeah.
or having just being curious. And
Yeah.
the awe and wonder that my mom had for sunsets, like
Mm.
we'll never forget it. I love being a yoga student. I love being a student of life. I
Yeah.
love learning from you. I love learning from everybody I come across. Like everybody has something to teach you.
Yeah. And intentionally, I mean, I know I'm intentionally putting myself in situations where I do get to be on a learning and development journey. Elizabeth, you'll appreciate this. I went and bought hiking poles last night. And Jake was with me because we had shopped for his graduation, eighth grade graduation suit before that. But I was at REI for over an hour, like figuring out the poles and then figuring out how to get them attached to a camelback or hydration vest and learning how to use these, learning how to tuck them away. And yeah,
Good job.
yeah, it was interesting and will continue to be interesting. Number 10.
uh, Isvara Pradhyana. Pranidhama. No,
Haridama.
I'm still not saying it right. It means surrender.
Okay.
Surrender.
Surrender.
Um,
We're not saying
this
the term right. We're going to surrender to that.
uh,
Oh,
again, so my new yogi that I follow is Travis Elliott, one of Brian Kest's students. And he and his wife, Lauren Ekstrom, have this amazing streaming service called Interdimension TV. So I'm not being paid by them to promote. But one of the things that just really hit home, I do a lot of his challenges, and one of his favorite things to say, what you resist persists,
hmm
and what you embrace, you move through with grace.
hmm
And I think number 10 is kind of like that enlightenment. Like it's kind of like you might reach it, but you might spend your whole life trying to reach it. And that's
hmm
okay.
hmm
Surrender it's kind of like that goal, the pie in the sky, the top, the pinnacle. And
Feels
we're just,
feels aspirational.
yes, we're moving towards it.
Certain moments. Yeah. Yeah, that feels like acceptance at a whole new level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. Um, the niyamas.
Mm-hmm.
Let me review the niyamas. And again, inviting everyone to look for themselves, right? What will be some guidance that you would like to turn to inside of yourself in, I was gonna, say in moments of need, but like really in any moments. 6 is inner wisdom. The
Purity.
right intention, the right action. That is really making me think about like our own when things happen. Often we talk in business about postmortems, right? And processing how things went. What did we learn? What went well? What didn't? What do we want to take from that? doing that with ourselves and our own journeys and our own experiences, right? What are our lessons learned from our own wisdom? I love that. Not always we get into looking at like we've got to like follow what the latest guru said on
Yeah.
whatever. What do
Yeah.
you say? You're a guru in your own life. What do you say about
Mhm.
it?
Well,
7, contentment, relax with what
mhm.
is. This is where I put in the word acceptance, like accepting what's so. Keep fighting against it doesn't serve us. 8 is the self-discipline, cutting out distractions. What's the commitment to yourself that you know is going to make a difference? 9, self-study, inner exploration, curiosity, right? Choose like where in your life do you want to take on a beginner's mindset, right? And be open to learning and growing and seeing things in new ways. And 10, surrender. Because what you resist persists, and what you embrace,
You move through with grace.
you move through with grace. Ah, this has been lovely. Thank you for your preparation for
Yes.
this, Elisabeth. And I know that you model this in your life and are committed to creating for yourself what works for you and therefore works for those around you and the environments that you're in. Thank you so
Well,
much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
thank you. It's my take on the yoga wisdom, and I hope it's not super overwhelming for people, and that they, as I've listened to your podcast previously, like they find that their own aha moment somewhere in these 10 philosophies that really sparks a new direction, or some sort of inspiration for their own lives or their own business, or
Yeah, that's your call to action, listeners. Choose your yama or your niyama, right, to practice or a combination thereof.
or just to
Choose
be
in
aware.
this moment what's going
Yep.
to serve you.
And it all starts with awareness. So like you didn't, before you listened to this podcast, you had no idea what these were. And now we've kind of walked you through them, and just having that awareness in your life, like that's where it starts.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Elisabeth.
Thanks for having me. This was super fun.
My pleasure.